everyone. Welcome back to English Every Day. I'm Paul. Today, we're really happy to see you again and continue learning English together.
And I'm Emily. Hello, everyone. It's always nice to be here with all of you, even though, well, today I don't feel my best.
Emily, are you okay? You don't sound well at all.
I don't feel good, Paul. I think I'm getting sick. My voice feels strange and my head feels a bit heavy.
Oh no, I'm sorry to hear that. But actually, this is perfect for today's lesson.
Really? How?
Today, we're learning how to talk about feeling sick in English. And since you're not feeling well, this lesson becomes even more real and useful for our listeners.
That's exactly what I need right now. It feels like perfect timing, even though I wish I felt better.
Yes, when you're sick, you need to describe your symptoms to doctors, pharmacists, coworkers, or even friends. This is very important because clear communication helps people understand what you need.
What will we learn today?
We'll learn how to describe symptoms, talk to a doctor, ask for medicine, and tell someone you need to stay home when you're not well.
Perfect. Even though I don't feel well, I'm excited to teach this. At least we can help our listeners learn from a real situation.
That's the spirit. Before we start, let's ask our listeners for help.
Yes, please subscribe to our channel, click the like button, and share with friends who are learning English. Your support really helps us keep creating lessons like this.
Thank you so much. Now, Emily, let's learn how to talk about being sick. Let's start.
Hello, this is Emily. May I speak to my manager, please?
Hi, Emily. This is Sarah. How are you?
Hi, Sarah. I'm not feeling well today. I think I need to stay home. I woke up feeling worse than yesterday, and I don't think I can focus on work.
Oh, no. What's wrong? Are you okay?
I have a bad headache, a sore throat, and I'm very tired. I think I have a cold. Everything feels heavy and slow today.
That sounds awful. Have you taken any medicine?
Not yet. I'm going to rest today and maybe see a doctor if I don't feel better. I want to make sure it doesn't get worse.
That's a good idea. Don't worry about work. Just focus on getting better. We all get sick sometimes, so take care of yourself.
Thank you so much for understanding. I hope to be back tomorrow or the day after if I still need more rest.
No problem at all. Take all the time you need. Get plenty of rest and drink lots of water. Staying hydrated really helps when you're sick.
I will. Thank you, Sarah.
Feel better soon, Emily. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Great job, Emily. Even when sick, you communicated clearly. It's important to be calm and clear when calling work.
Thank you. It's important to call work when you're too sick to go. And honestly, talking slowly helps when your throat hurts.
Absolutely. Let's review what happened in your call and learn the useful phrases step by step. All right, Emily, let's review what happened in your phone call. You started by saying, "I'm not feeling well today." That's a clear and polite way to let someone know you're sick.
Yes, and it feels natural to say, even when you're not feeling strong enough to talk much.
Exactly. And you can also say, "I don't feel good. I'm feeling sick," or "I'm under the weather."
Under the weather. That sounds like someone standing outside in the rain, but it really just means sick, right?
Yes, It's an idiom. When someone says they're under the weather, it simply means they're not feeling their best. It's a gentle way to say you're sick without sounding too dramatic.
Then I said, I think I need to stay home. That felt very direct, but also honest.
Right. That's a perfect way to tell your manager you can't go to work. It's respectful and it also gives a clear reason.
My manager asked, what's wrong? That's a very common question when someone wants to know the problem.
Exactly. People often ask this because they want to understand your situation. And then you described your symptoms: headache, sore throat, and feeling tired.
Symptoms are basically the problems you feel in your body when you're sick. It's an important word to know, especially when talking to doctors.
Yes. And describing symptoms clearly helps people understand how serious your condition is. For example, saying a bad headache is more specific than just saying, I feel bad. The more details, the better.
My manager also told me to take medicine, rest, and drink water. Those are always good suggestions when you're sick.
Absolutely. And she also said, take all the time you need. That's a very caring and supportive expression. It shows she wants you to recover fully before coming back to work.
And she said, feel better soon. That's a really kind phrase. I like hearing it.
Yes, feel better soon is a friendly and polite way to wish someone a quick recovery. People say it all the time, to friends, coworkers, even strangers.
I think many learners of English want to know these natural, warm phrases because they help in real life.
Exactly. And speaking of real life, now that we've talked about calling work, it's time to move to another important situation. What happens when you need to go to the pharmacy?
Right. Let's show our listeners how to talk to a pharmacist when they're sick.
All right, Emily. Before we move to the pharmacy scene, let's talk a little more about the symptoms you mentioned. You talked about having a headache, a sore throat, and feeling very tired. These are some of the most common symptoms people experience when they're sick.
Yes, and when you're actually sick, like I was during the call, those feelings become very real. A headache can make your whole day feel slow.
Exactly. A headache is when your head hurts. It can be sharp, dull, light, or strong. Some people say it feels like pressure or like their head is heavy.
Right. And the sore throat is when your throat feels painful, especially when you swallow. Sometimes it feels scratchy or dry, and sometimes it just hurts every time you talk.
Being tired means having no energy. You feel slow, weak, and you just want to sleep. This type of tiredness when you're sick is often called fatigue, a deeper kind of tiredness.
Exactly. And then I said, I think I have a cold. Many learners hear cold and think about the weather, but this cold is different.
Yes, very true. A cold is a common illness. When you have a cold, you might have a runny nose, sneezing, coughing, and maybe a sore throat. It's uncomfortable, but usually not dangerous.
My manager suggested taking medicine and seeing a doctor if I didn't feel better. That's good advice because sometimes a cold can get worse if you don't rest.
Exactly. And she also said, take all the time you need and get plenty of rest. These are caring expressions that show she wants you to recover fully before returning to work.
And feel better soon is such a warm, positive phrase. People use it all the time, and it always feels comforting, especially when you're sick.
Yes, it's like saying, I hope you get well quickly. Simple, friendly, and very useful.
So now that we've explained the symptoms and expressions, I think we're ready for the next situation.
Exactly. When you're sick, one of the most common things you'll do is go to a pharmacy to buy medicine. So let's move into our next scene.
Yes, let's show our listeners how to describe symptoms and ask for help at a pharmacy. Excuse me, can you help me?
Of course. What can I do for you today?
I'm not feeling well. I have a headache, a runny nose, and I'm sneezing a lot. It's been getting worse since this morning, and I'm not sure what medicine to take.
It sounds like you have a cold. Do you have a fever?
I don't know. I feel a little hot, but I didn't check my temperature. I probably should have checked before coming here.
Okay, no problem. Do you have a cough?
Yes, a little bit. Just sometimes, especially when I breathe in deeply.
Are you taking any other medications right now?
No, I'm not taking anything. I wanted to ask first before buying the wrong medicine.
Good. In that case, I recommend this cold medicine. It will help with your headache, runny nose, and fever. Take 1 tablet every 6 hours.
Every 6 hours? So 4 times a day.
Exactly. Morning, afternoon, evening, and before bed. And make sure to take it with food.
With food. Got it. What about my cough? It's not too bad, but it still bothers me.
For your cough, I recommend this cough syrup. Take 1 tablespoon 3 times a day.
1 tablespoon 3 times a day. Okay. I'll make sure to follow the instructions.
Also, make sure you drink plenty of water, get lots of rest, and eat healthy food like soup. These things help the medicine work better.
Thank you so much. How much is everything?
The cold medicine is $12, and the cough syrup is $8. Total is $20.
Here you go. Thank you for your help.
You're welcome. Feel better soon.
Thank you. I hope so too.
Excellent, Emily. You got the medicine you need, and you explained your symptoms clearly.
Yes, the pharmacist was so helpful. Talking to someone who understands what you're going through always makes things easier.
Exactly. And now that we've gone through the whole conversation, let's review some important vocabulary and explanations.
All right, Emily. Let's review what happened at the pharmacy. You did a great job describing your symptoms. Clear, simple, and easy for the pharmacist to understand.
Thank you. I tried my best even though my nose was blocked and my voice sounded funny.
Yes, and that actually made it even more realistic. So, you said you had a headache, a runny nose, and sneezing. These are all common symptoms when someone has a cold.
Right. A runny nose is when liquid comes out of your nose. It can be really annoying because you have to keep wiping it.
Yes, very uncomfortable. And sneezing is when air comes out of your nose and mouth suddenly, like achoo. It happens quickly and sometimes many times in a row.
The pharmacist asked if I had a fever. A fever means your body temperature is higher than normal, right?
Exactly. A fever usually means your body is fighting an infection. Normal temperature is about 37 degrees Celsius or 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. If it goes higher, you feel hot, weak, and sometimes shaky.
He also asked if I had a cough. A cough is when air comes out of your throat with a sound. Sometimes it's dry, sometimes it's wet.
Right. A dry cough has no mucus and a wet cough has mucus. Both can happen with a cold or flu.
He also asked if I was taking other medications. I know pharmacists always ask that.
Yes, that's very important. Medicines are medicines, and some medicines don't mix well together. If you take two medicines that don't go together, you might feel worse instead of better. So it's always good to tell the pharmacist what you're already taking.
He recommended cold medicine and told me to take one tablet every 6 hours. 6 hours feels like a long time, but it makes sense.
Exactly. Every 6 hours means 4 times a day: 6 a.m., 12 p.m., 6 p.m., and 12 a.m. And he said to take it with food. That helps your stomach handle the medicine more comfortably.
He also recommended cough syrup, 1 tablespoon 3 times a day. A tablespoon is about 15 milliliters.
Right. And he reminded you to drink water, get rest, and eat healthy food like soup. These simple things help your body recover faster.
Yes, and I really liked how calm and friendly he was. It made me feel less stressed while being sick.
Exactly. And now that we've explained everything at the pharmacy, let's move on to something very important: reviewing all the different symptoms people should know in English.
Great idea. Let's help our listeners learn a full list of symptom vocabulary.
All right, Emily, now that we've finished the scene at the pharmacy, let's take a moment to review all the different symptoms people might experience when they're sick. This part is really important because knowing the right words makes it much easier to explain how you feel to a doctor, a pharmacist, or even your coworkers.
Yes, definitely. And honestly, when you're sick, sometimes it's hard to think clearly. So having the right vocabulary already in your mind really helps.
Exactly. So let's go through these symptoms together. First, we have the different types of aches, which basically mean pain in different parts of your body. There's headache, stomach ache, backache, toothache, and earache. Each one describes exactly where the pain is happening, and this helps people understand what you're dealing with.
Right. And each type of pain feels different too. A stomach ache makes your stomach hurt. A backache can make it hard to move. And a toothache, well, that one can make you feel like your whole head is hurting.
Very true. Now, let's move on to symptoms related to body temperature: fever, chills, and sweating. A fever is when your body temperature is higher than normal. Chills are when you feel cold and start shaking, even if the room isn't cold at all. And sweating is when your body produces a lot of sweat, sometimes because you're trying to fight an infection.
Yes, and sometimes you can have chills and sweating all in the same hour. Your body gets confused when you're sick.
Exactly. Now, we also have respiratory symptoms. These are symptoms related to your nose, throat, and breathing. They include cough, sore throat, runny nose, stuffy nose, and sneezing. These are very common with colds and flu.
A stuffy nose means your nose is blocked and it's hard to breathe through it. And sometimes your voice sounds funny because you can't use your nose properly.
That's true. Next, we have stomach-related symptoms: nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea. Nausea is when you feel like you might vomit. Vomiting is when food comes out of your stomach. And diarrhea is when your body releases water instead of solid waste.
Yes, and these symptoms can make you feel very weak. Even just nausea alone can make you feel miserable.
Exactly. And speaking of weakness, let's look at the symptoms related to energy and balance. These include dizziness, fatigue, and weakness. Dizziness is when the room feels like it's spinning. Fatigue is extreme tiredness, much stronger than normal tiredness. Weakness means your body feels low energy, like it's hard to move or stand.
Yes, those are the symptoms that make you want to lie down all day. Your body just doesn't have the strength to do anything.
Right. And finally, we have some skin-related symptoms: rash, itching, and swelling. A rash is when red spots or bumps appear on your skin. Itching is when your skin feels like you want to scratch it. And swelling is when part of your body becomes bigger, usually because of irritation or infection.
Yes, and these symptoms are important to recognize too, because sometimes your skin can show signs of illness even before your body does. It's amazing how many ways the body tells us something is wrong.
Exactly. So now that we've reviewed all these symptoms, it's important for learners to remember them because doctors and pharmacists often ask very specific questions. If you know the right words, you can describe exactly how you feel.
Yes, and describing your symptoms clearly can help you get the right treatment faster. Now that we know the vocabulary, let's move on to something that learners really need: how to talk about how bad the symptoms are.
Now that we've reviewed all the different symptoms, the next important step is learning how to describe how bad those symptoms are. Because sometimes you're just a little sick, and sometimes you feel like you're falling apart.
Yes, that's so true. When you tell someone you're sick, they usually want to know whether it's mild or serious. So learning these expressions helps people understand exactly what you're feeling.
Exactly. There are several useful words you can use to describe the strength of a symptom. For example, you can say a little, a bit, somewhat, very, really, or extremely.
Right. So if I say, I have a little headache, it means the pain is not too bad. I can still do things, but I notice the discomfort. It's very light.
Yes, but if you say, I have a really bad headache, that means the pain is strong. Maybe it's hard to work, hard to think, or even hard to talk.
Yes, and sometimes you feel like even the light hurts your eyes when the headache is really bad.
Exactly. And being able to describe the strength of your symptoms is extremely helpful for doctors because they need to understand the severity of what you're feeling.
It's also useful for talking to friends or coworkers. For example, if I tell someone, I'm a bit tired, that sounds very different from saying, I'm extremely tired. The second one means I probably need to rest immediately.
Very true. And these expressions work with almost any symptom. For example, I'm a little dizzy, I'm really nauseous, I'm extremely tired, or my throat is very sore. Each one gives more detail.
And using these words also helps people know how urgent the situation is. If you say, I'm somewhat dizzy, that's different from saying, I'm extremely dizzy. The second one might mean you shouldn't stand up or drive a car.
Exactly. So using the right intensity word makes your communication clearer and safer.
I think learners will find this really helpful because sometimes they know the symptom, but they don't know how to explain the level of pain.
Yes, and now that we've learned how to describe symptoms and their intensity, the next step is learning how to talk to a doctor properly.
Right, because when you visit a doctor, you need to give clear information so they can help you quickly and correctly.
So let's move on to the next part. Useful phrases you can say when talking to a doctor.
So, Paul, what phrases should I use when talking to a doctor? Sometimes it can feel a little scary, especially when you don't know the right vocabulary.
Great question, Emily. Talking to a doctor becomes much easier when you know a few simple sentences. For example, you can say, I've been feeling sick for 3 days. This tells the doctor how long you've been sick.
Right. And that's important because the doctor needs to know if the symptoms are new or if they've been going on for a while.
Exactly. You can also say,
it started yesterday, or it started this morning. This gives the doctor a clear timeline.
Yes, and sometimes the doctor will ask, when did the symptoms begin? So having these answers ready is very helpful.
Absolutely. Another very useful sentence is, it's getting worse. This tells the doctor that your symptoms are not improving, and that might mean you need stronger treatment or closer attention.
Yes, I've said that before. When something is getting worse, you really feel it in your body, like when your throat hurts more every hour.
Exactly. And here's another important phrase. It hurts when for example, it hurts when I swallow, or it hurts when I move. These details help the doctor understand what might be causing the pain.
Right. Doctors always ask questions like, does it hurt when you breathe? Or does it hurt when you touch this area? So being able to answer clearly is very helpful.
Another good sentence is, I feel dizzy when I stand up. Dizziness is a very important symptom because it can affect your safety. You might fall or lose your balance.
Yes, dizziness can be really scary. Even standing up slowly feels difficult sometimes.
Exactly. You can also say, I can't eat because I feel nauseous. This tells the doctor that your stomach is upset and you feel like you might vomit.
These phrases are so helpful. They make the conversation smoother and they help the doctor understand exactly what you're experiencing.
Yes, and using clear sentences also helps doctors give the right treatment faster. The more information you give, the easier it is for them to help you.
So now that we've learned how to talk to a doctor, what about asking for medicine directly? Sometimes people go to a pharmacy and don't know what to say.
Exactly. That's why in the next part, we're going to learn how to ask for help, how to request medicine, and how to understand instructions from a pharmacist.
So, Paul, what about asking for help at the pharmacy? Sometimes I'm not sure how to ask for the right medicine, especially when there are so many choices on the shelves.
Excellent question, Emily. Knowing how to ask for the right medicine is very useful. And luckily, the sentences are simple. For example, you can say, can you recommend something for a headache? This tells the pharmacist exactly what kind of help you need.
Right. And if I have a cold, I can say, what should I take for a cold? That sounds very natural and polite.
Exactly. These simple questions help the pharmacist choose the right medicine for your symptoms. They hear these questions every day, so you don't need to feel nervous.
That's good to know. But sometimes I worry about taking the wrong medicine, especially if I'm already taking something else.
And that's a very smart thing to think about. At the pharmacy, you can also ask, is this safe to take with other medications? This is extremely important because some medicines shouldn't be mixed together.
Right. And pharmacists always know which combinations are safe. They'll tell you if the medicine can be taken together or if you need to choose another option.
Absolutely. Another useful question is, are there any side effects? Side effects are problems or reactions that a medicine might cause.
Yes, like when a medicine makes you sleepy or gives you an upset stomach.
Exactly. Sleepiness is called drowsiness, and upset stomach is another common side effect. Knowing these words helps you understand the instructions more clearly.
I think many learners forget to ask about side effects, but it's really important. Sometimes the side effects can feel almost as uncomfortable as the symptoms.
Very true. And asking questions
also shows the pharmacist that you're being responsible and careful about your health.
So now we know how to talk to a doctor and how to talk to a pharmacist. But what if someone needs help urgently?
Good point. The next part will teach you what to say when you need urgent care or when the situation might be an emergency.
Great. Let's help our listeners prepare for those situations too. So, Paul, what if I need to see a doctor urgently? Sometimes sickness gets worse suddenly, and people panic because they don't know what to say.
Yes, that's a very important situation to talk about. If you need help quickly, you can say, I need to see a doctor as soon as possible. This tells people that your condition feels urgent.
Right. And sometimes when it's really serious, you can say, this is an emergency. That immediately tells others that you need help right away. Exactly. Another useful phrase is, I need urgent care. This is especially helpful if you're at a clinic or hospital and need to explain the seriousness of your symptoms.
Yes, because when you're feeling very sick, it's hard to think clearly. So remembering these short phrases is really helpful.
Absolutely. And one of the biggest questions people ask is, when should I go to the emergency room?
Yes, many learners don't know when something is serious enough to be considered an emergency.
Right. So here are moments when you should go to the emergency room. If you have chest pain, if you have difficulty breathing, if you have a very high fever, over 39.5 degrees Celsius or 103 degrees Fahrenheit, if you have severe bleeding, or if you suddenly have severe pain anywhere in your body.
Those symptoms definitely sound serious, and chest pain or difficulty breathing should never be ignored.
Exactly. These are strong warning signs. In situations like these, don't wait. Get help immediately. It's always better to be safe than sorry.
Yes, and sometimes people try to stay home because they think the problem will go away, but some symptoms can get dangerous very fast.
That's right. And if you're not sure whether something is an emergency, it's always okay to ask someone or call a health line. Health professionals will guide you.
So after learning how to ask for urgent help, what about calling a family member or a friend when you need support?
Great point. The next part will teach you exactly how to ask loved ones for help when you're not feeling well.
Perfect. Let's move on and help our listeners feel more confident in real-life situations.
All right, Emily, now that we've talked about emergencies and urgent care, let's move on to something just as important. How to ask friends or family members for help when you're not feeling well.
Yes, because sometimes when you're sick, you really can't do everything by yourself. Even simple things like getting medicine or driving to the doctor can feel impossible.
Exactly. So here are some simple and natural sentences you can use. For example, you can say, I'm not feeling well. Can you help me? This is a gentle and polite way to ask for support.
Right. It's clear, it's simple, and it tells the person that you need assistance without sounding too dramatic.
Yes. Another useful sentence is, I think I need to see a doctor. Can you drive me? This is especially important if you're feeling dizzy, weak, or too sick to drive safely.
Yes, and many people don't realize that it's okay to ask for help like this. Your friends and family usually want to help you when you're not well.
Very true. And here's another phrase you might use. Can you bring me some medicine from the pharmacy? This is helpful when you're too weak to go out.
Yes, or when you don't want to make your symptoms worse by walking outside in the cold.
Exactly. Asking for help is completely normal when you're sick. People understand that everyone gets sick sometimes, and most of the time they're happy to help.
Yes, and asking politely makes the conversation smooth and comfortable. Even just saying, thank you so much for helping me, goes a long way.
Absolutely. So now that we've covered how to ask for help, the next thing learners should know is how to talk about recovery, what to say when someone else is sick, and what to say when you start feeling better.
Right. Those phrases are kind and supportive, and they help make conversations warm and friendly.
Exactly. So let's move on to the next part, useful recovery phrases and ways to talk about feeling better.
So now, Paul, let's talk about recovery phrases. What people say when someone is sick, and what you can say when you start feeling better.
Yes, this part is simple, but very useful. When someone is sick, you can say, feel better soon, get well soon, or take care of yourself. These are warm, friendly phrases that show you care.
Yes, and people use them all the time. Even hearing a small phrase like that can make you feel supported when you're sick.
Exactly. And when you are the person who is recovering, you can say, I'm feeling better, I'm getting better, or I'm almost back to normal.
Those are great because they help people understand where you are in your recovery. Sometimes you're better, but not 100% yet. So saying I'm getting better is perfect.
Yes, it's honest and clear. And with these phrases, learners can talk about how they feel in a natural, simple way.
Now, Paul, should we ask our listeners a question before we wrap up today's lesson?
Absolutely. It helps learners practice their English and reflect on their own experiences.
Dear listeners, what do you do when you feel sick? Do you see a doctor immediately? Or do you try home remedies first? And what's your favorite remedy for a cold? Let us know in the comments.
Yes, we'd love to hear your answers. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel, click the like button if this lesson helped you, and share it with friends who might need this vocabulary.
Thank you all for learning with us today. Remember, when you're sick, don't be afraid to ask for help. Use these phrases to clearly describe how you feel, and most importantly, take care of your health.
Until next time, stay healthy, everyone.
Goodbye.
See you soon.